Y'all will not believe who we found on the internet. Bob Newhart in the flesh, right here on the beach, just minding his own business, coming on our show. What an honor it is to meet the real life Bob Newhart. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you, Heather. I'm happy to be here.
What you doing on the beach? What's going on here? You got a polo on. It looks cold, but you're out on vacation, it looks like.
No, I'm just hanging out.
Alrighty.
Just
So
hanging out.
how annoyed do you get when folks are like, Bob Newhart, ha ha ha. What's your perception of that?
It's been all over the place for a long, long, long time. I used Robert a lot. I mean, I've always gone by Bob, and I did that in business, so wouldn't be an immediate, reaction. Especially now, it's not so bad because it's years since he was really out there, and less, younger people like yourself don't really know that name, so it's gotten better. But so I've always kept it at arm's length kind of thing. But I also have a whole bunch of standard lines that I would say.
Ooh, give me
Um,
one. What's a line?
oh, if I got 10 cents every time I heard that, I'd be a gazillionaire. Or one that I always like to say is because I'm Robert L. Newhart the second. So when
Okay.
people, and that's what I've used just to kind of get past that recognition. But I'll go, by the way, no financial connection. That helps.
Mm, that's
And then, so stuff like that. And that the thing that probably most people don't like when they have a similar name to somebody like that is, are you the real one? And I usually say, yeah, I'm probably the only one you're going to talk to today. So,
Do you think they're serious when they say, "Are you the real one?"
on the phone.
Oh, on the phone. And you
But
could really play that.
it was funny. I went to an appointment the other day, and I walked in, and this woman said, "Well, we were wondering who was going to show up." And so for that kind of a thing, because I've always, they don't know who it is. I always say, "Well, I'm just glad my name's not Brad Pitt or Elvis, it just Elba or George Clooney, because you'd really be disappointed then."
Oh man.
Anyway, that's the kind of stuff.
So this might shock you. You said earlier people, don't know who Bob Newhart is. I know sure good and well who Bob Newhart is. I used to watch the Bob Newhart show. We
Uh,
had that on in our house. Did you watch it?
I've watched some of it, and also the Vermont one when he was. It's funny because I've always felt like, I mean, this sounds terrible, but he owes me
How
because of
dare
all
you?
the pain you go through. But that's also fun. But when I was in Vermont for about a year, opening an office for my consulting company, and he was doing the Vermont show where he had a country inn, and yeah, I never did it because I'm too lazy. But I wanted to go around the whole state of Vermont and go to all the country inns and write Bob Newhart's Guide to Country Inns in Vermont, but because the timing was right. But I didn't do it. So,
So tell me, what do you do out in this world? What's your life been about?
uh, well, right now I'm an artist, so I'll quickly just go back. I spent many, many years, decades, being a business consultant of
Hmm.
all kinds, working in innovation, started an innovation center, and did some things there, like quite a few things, and it was fun. And it was hard to actually break from that and just really go full time into art. So I'm an artist. Um, I do abstract, so I usually joke with people and say, if you don't like abstract, then you're not going to like mine. If you do like abstract, you probably still won't like mine.
Oh my goodness.
I don't really mean that. It's fun. That's what I do.
What
So
got you into that? I mean, that seems kind of different going from like business consulting to abstract artist.
well, I did art most of my life. So I grew up in Hawaii and Southern California, um, and when I was a kid, I used to go to Monowilly School, which is an elementary school in Kailua, and I always bragged that my first one-person show was in the library at the school because the librarian liked whatever I was doing. But so it's not that unusual. I sold my first painting in high school because I did some stuff there, and then I kind of I went to work, had to support a family and all that, and did less and less. In fact, basically none.
Mm.
And so it's not foreign to me to do it. I mean, I've always been interested. So
That's so interesting to me. I feel like now in 2024, it seems like it's a little bit more, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, open to folks, young people saying, hey, I want to be an artist or a creative as a career than it probably was, a long time ago. Because it's interesting to me that you said, I put it aside because I had to provide for my family. Was there ever an option in your mind that you could have done that with your life? Art?
um, no,
How
I'm
come?
not. I think you're asking, did I think I could do that as a job?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then no. Um, it just came too fast. I've got four
Mm.
kids, and
Whew.
things move on.
Yeah. But
But
it's cool how it circles back around and now you're doing it now.
yeah, it's not a big. And most of the a lot of not a lot of the work that I did in business, especially around innovation, was very artful. And so I designed systems and ways to help companies and individuals, well, I used to say, help them discover and launch their future.
Mm.
So I did a lot. So that was creative. Not the same way as art, painting. I love to paint. I love paint on a canvas, you know. And I have a lot of discussion with a friend of mine who's a sculptor um, about AI and where that's going in terms of artists.
Yeah.
And, we haven't figured it out yet. But anyway.
So interesting. Now, one thing that's interesting about the other Bob Newhart, the least important Bob Newhart here, is he was an accountant when he was younger at one point, right after the war. So I'm curious, what is maybe an odd job you had or something you once did that most people might be shocked by?
Um, well, I've done usual things working in restaurants and things, but the best job I ever had in my life, I'm serious, was a paper boy for the Honolulu Advertiser. And I loved it. I mean, I just absolutely loved it. In fact, the one time in my life that someone said, "Oh, you're the real Bob Newhart," was I was at a party. This is like 10 or 15 years ago. And this guy was there, and he goes, hi, Bob. I introduced myself. He introduced himself, and he said, "Are you the Bob Newhart?" And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, the guy who lived in Kailua and had the paper route I always wanted, and we
Oh my
just
goodness.
everybody in the neighborhood wanted you to move or leave or quit that job because we wanted it. Anyway, that was the only time somebody said, "Are you the real Bob Newhart?"
Tell me about this whole Hawaii thing. What landed you there?
Well, my parents divorced when I was young, and I moved around a lot, back and forth, especially between California and Hawaii. Hawaii was really, well, Hawaii's nice no matter what, but it was dirt in Kailua. It was dirt roads, 25
Mm.
cent movies, 75-cent haircuts, all this kind of stuff. And I went to Punahou School for a while. That's where Barack Obama graduated from. Of course, I was way before him.
So did you meet him?
No, I
No.
have
Okay.
I have been close because he came here to. I live in Bend, Oregon, so he came here. Uh, the only president I've actually met is I think Carter, uh, but you run into these people.
How do
The
you
the
run
other
into
thing,
these people? I've never ran into a president.
oh yeah, well it just depends what you're doing. But my favorite, there's a bunch of people I've met like names like that, and the all-time favorite was Sammy Davis Jr.
What?
And you mentioned Hawaii. In Hawaii, there's a thing called the Shell, which is a lot like Hollywood Bowl. And he was playing, and I was a newspaper boy, and I was selling or giving away, I forget which, the programs for his event. And so I just, after people all got in there, I just went around back, and he drove up in big limo, a stretch limo, the whole thing. And it was Wilt Chamberlain, Peter Lawford, Sammy Davis, but Sammy Davis is the one I remember. And so, I went to Wilt Chamberlain and said, "How tall are you?" He said, "Oh, about 6 feet," jokingly. But Sammy Davis let me stay backstage and watch the show from the wings. And the cops tried to throw me out. It's just this little kid. And he said, "Oh no, he can stay." So anyway, I don't know how I got on that. Sorry, but Hawaii was a great place to grow up. I met Elvis there briefly,
What? You've met all
very
these
briefly.
people. Is it
Well, he
because
was
of your
doing,
location or what? What are you
yeah, well,
doing?
that was Blue Hawaii. He was doing that movie.
Mm,
I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the kid down the street was in it. He's a little kid on the beach, but it was very, very brief. But still, people you don't know probably Duke Kahanamoku was an Olympic swimmer, and he had a restaurant, and Frank Sinatra and all those kind of people. But they all came through there. And Sinatra, for instance, was there when Kennedy was running, raising, doing a show to raise money and stuff like that.
goodness
That's fun.
sakes.
But if you're a little kid, you can go anywhere. I couldn't. I mean, now they'd say, "Who the hell's that guy? Get him out of here!" You know.
Sounds like you've led a pretty interesting life.
Well, everybody, it's fun. I mean, there's ups and downs, and things go on, and you got to find what you can. I changed schools like 14 times between the seventh and eighth grade. So, and
Why? What
sometimes
did you
back to,
do? Were you in trouble?
oh no, just moving around. And it was I in trouble.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to get the good stuff out of this. Come on, Bob.
one time the teacher threw me out because I was too sarcastic, and she goes, "Well, what would your parents say if I called them?" I go, "They'd probably say hello." You know.
Oh, goodness. So this other dude, this other Bob Newhart, says that he was widely known for his deadpan kind of
Yeah.
delivery of comedy. I'm curious, what would other people say is your delivery of comedy? How are you funny?
Um, well, I forget the punchlines. I mean, so I have a tough time even remembering a joke, and I'll go right through it, and I'll take you there, Heather, and then you go, well, punchline. Oh yeah, what was it?
Oh, yeah.
But there is one time, I'll just mention it quickly. I was running for public office, actually, local level, and there was a fundraiser or something, and I played that role. I had a fake telephone, and this is how old I am. I was talking to President Reagan on the phone and making a lot of jokes. So I've used that technique. But in terms of just, I have taught a lot, and I've done hundreds of workshops for thousands of business people, and keynote speeches in different countries and places. And comedy is not my thing. So I try, but
But you're a communicator, aren't you? I mean, you've done that. Would you identify as a communicator, storyteller?
yeah, if I have a script. You
Okay.
know, if I think about it ahead of time. Otherwise, I ramble like I'm doing right now, Heather. And sorry for that. Just let me know what else you want.
No, this is good. We want to get to know you. And one of the premises of this segment, and I've told you before, is there are so many creatives who are in this room watching this interview with you, and maybe they've been at it for a really long time. They love their work, they're passionate about it, and maybe they haven't seen yet the results that they want to see. Sometimes it gets hard following your dreams. Sometimes it can get a little bit discouraging. So I'm curious, Bob Newhart, if you have any words of advice. You're a creative yourself. You've also been a successful businessman and a successful career. What would you advise, like the creative who feels like this is what they want to do with their life, but may be discouraged right now?
Well, one of my favorite quotes is Steve Jobs saying, "Why join the Navy when you can be a pirate?" And I don't know what that means for your question, but it kind of ran through my life. I always tried to not be whatever. Well, I tried to be what I wanted to be, is what it
Mm.
was. It seems like most of the time it wasn't what somebody else wanted. I mean, I never took any art courses, but in high school, all the art teachers gave me free supplies. But anyway, to answer your question, um, something I've been trying to do myself. It's very hard. And so I say, show up, be available, don't know. There's two kinds of no's, the KNOW, like don't know, and don't say no. So the show up is pretty
Mm.
easy. I mean, but it is 50% of the job. Show up, um, be available to what may come, and then don't know, because if you know in advance what you think it's going to be, you're probably going to screw it up. And if you say no to doing something, sometimes you're really missing an opportunity. And it does get easier with each step. If you show up, that's the first step. If you're sort
Mm.
of available to what's going on, that's the next thing. And then if you came unprepared, a little bit and not really know what you think is going to happen. That helps. I'll give you one quick example. I met my
Yeah.
wife while I was teaching at at the Oregon State University for a class or two, and I showed up. She showed up. She was maybe available. I don't know, but that's where we met. So it's kind of like get out there and do stuff kind of thing. Roll with whatever comes when you're going. Anyway, sorry.
Well, you did that here. You said yes to this, even though you didn't have to. You didn't say no. You said yes. So, looking back at Bob 2 weeks ago when you said yes that you were going to do this, what's one piece of advice he would have given him to prepare for this segment?
Um, don't do much of anything. The thing I do regularly is when I get involved with somebody that, like this in this
Yeah.
way, Dominic and yourself, I do look into what they do
Yeah.
so I know what I'm getting into. It really goes with the kind of people. And I was impressed. I said, well, and my wife kept saying, just do it, just
That's
go.
right.
You know.
That's right. I thought you were going to say, don't do it, Bob. Don't do
Oh no, I almost rejected the opportunity, which I would have been, well, I wouldn't have known it, but I would be very sorry for her.
Yeah.
And she was totally like, just do it, that'd be fun.
Come on. Exactly. Exactly. It was just a joy to have you, to meet you. Thank you for showing up for us. Thank you for your words of wisdom. And we just wish you the very, very best in your beautiful Hawaii landscape behind you. Kind of jealous, man. I got my Georgia life here. It's super hot, not as fun and interesting, but looks like you're living it up.
Yeah, trying, always trying.